Welcome all my job seekers out there. For those who don't know me, my name is Husseina and I'm an interview coach, which means I help individuals to be able to land their dream job and help them to really understand how to pass the interview so that they can move further in their career. So if you're having problems with the interview stage, maybe you're just not getting the jobs you want to get, or the interviews you're going for, you're getting rejected by a lot of them, then please subscribe to my channel for weekly videos where I'll be teaching you how to pass the interview. So today I'm going to be talking about how to pass an interview when you're not fluent in English. So I'm talking about non-native English speakers. Now this can be a very frustrating time for them. If you're going to an interview and you feel as though the interviewer is not understanding what you're saying, it can be very, very frustrating, and it cause you to feel anxious, it can cause you to shut down, and it can cause you to even not want to go for interviews because of bad experiences that you're having, because you think English is stopping you from moving forward in your career. Now, before I go any further and explain tips on how to improve your English for your job interviews, I just want to say your English is not the reason why you're not getting the job. You think it's the reason, but there are other factors that can help you to still get that interview, even if your English is not good, which I will explain. I also want to say that you're absolutely amazing. The fact that you speak more than one language is not a weakness, and you should never look at it that way. It's actually a marketable skill. A lot of companies are looking for employees that can speak more than one language. So this is something that you can actually work to your advantage at the interview, which I'll also explain further on in the video. So let's get to it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, many non-native speaking people think that they're not getting the job because the interviewer is not understanding what they're saying. But you also need to look at whether you're understanding what the interviewer is saying. So are you really understanding the questions that he or she is asking you? Now, the only way to be able to know if you're answering the questions effectively is to really know what they want when they ask that question and why are they asking that question. And the best way to do that is to research on the most common interview questions before the interview. Make sure you understand exactly what the question is asking and how to answer it. Now, if you do that, you'll be in a much better place to be able to answer the question when you're actually in the job interview. Now, I'm going to be doing videos on how to answer the most common questions effectively in my future videos. But for now, get on the internet, get on YouTube, and look at how to answer those common questions correctly. And then use your skills and experience to be able to sell yourself using that format. And you'll have a much better chance of passing the interview. So that's the first tip. Another issue that a lot of non-native English speakers face is not being able to get to the point when they're at the job interview. They end up talking and talking and talking and talking because they're trying to get their message across and they're not sure if the interviewer is understanding what they're saying, so they overly explain what they're saying, which can actually cause the interviewer to actually shut off from what you're saying, and it can create a very awkward environment for both you and the interviewer. So how do you stop rambling? How do you stop rambling? And rambling is not only specific to non-native English speaking people, it's also for people that speak English fluently. Rambling is a serious problem for many job seekers in job interviews, and it can be really hard to get out of the habit of rambling. And rambling is really a sign that you're nervous, and you're so focused on what the interviewer is thinking of you that you're not really able to get what you're saying across to them effectively. Now, the way to handle this is to prepare. You have to prepare before the interview. Preparation is key in this stage. And by prepare, what I mean is you need to record yourself. You need to record yourself actually answering the most common interview questions. Now, realistically, you can answer an interview question in 1 minute or less. When it starts going over 1 minute, probably I'll give it up to 1 minute 30 seconds, for example. But if it starts going over a minute 30 seconds, it's probably too long. So that should give you some kind of guideline. So when you're explaining a question that's being asked, once you're giving your answer, record yourself and try and get yourself down to a minute while getting all of the key points in that you need. And the more practice you do of this, you'll find that you'll be able to make it clear and concise and to the point. And as you keep on practicing, by the time you get to the interview, you feel so natural saying your explanation that it would just look like you're perfect for the job, because you just know exactly what to say at the right time. It will just be amazing for you, compared to just going to the interview and scrambling over what to say. It can be really, really soul draining. So definitely record yourself and keep it up to a minute, no longer than a minute 30 seconds. Now, in order to pass the interview, you need to prove to the interviewer that you are the right fit. So how do you do that exactly? You need to speak the interviewer's language. And you're probably thinking, what exactly does that mean? What I mean by this is you need to use their terminology, the company's terminology. And the best way to find out the language they use is by looking at the job description. So read the job description for the job properly. And if you look at the skill section or the roles and responsibilities section, they will have certain keywords that they're probably looking for the ideal candidate to have. For example, if you're going for an admin position, for example, it might say they're looking for a candidate with problem-solving skills, or accuracy skills, or attention to detail. Use those words at the interview if you have those skills, those particular words. And if you're not too sure what exactly those words mean, make sure you research on it and understand those words and know how to use it and construct it in a sentence. And then use those words at the interview, and that will really make you look like an ideal candidate when you're speaking to the interviewer. Another really important tip that relates to preparation before the job interview is to practice your answers in front of a native English speaking person. They'll be the best person to let you know how to construct your sentences in case you're not constructing it effectively. Because what I usually find is sometimes with non-native English speaking people is they might be saying the right thing, but they're explaining it in a conversational style. And there's a difference between a conversational style and a professional style of talking. And if you're demonstrating your answers to a native English speaking person, they will let you be able to construct your sentences in a professional way. So, demonstrate it in front of friends that are English speaking, or if you really want to step it up a notch, get an English coach and demonstrate your answers to them, and they will let you know how to construct it effectively. And then you will have more confidence at speaking at job interviews and really making sure that you sell yourself and get your message across to the interviewer correctly. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that you know and are fluent in another language is a marketable skill. So make sure that you tell them that you speak another language, and that can really put you as a desirable candidate on their list. If you tell them that, yes, I speak another language, it just shows that you're more culturally diverse, and you can speak to people from different cultures, and they might have clients that they might need one of their employees to speak to them in that particular language. So definitely mention that at the interview. It is definitely a selling point. And last but not least, this is optional, but I do advise it, is do start learning how to speak English, whether it's taking an English learning course or getting an English learning coach. Do that. And if you are doing that, then mention that at the interview. Tell them that you're taking English classes. By doing that, what it shows is that you have a certain limitation and you're working on that in order to improve, and that is always attractive to an interviewer. They love to see someone that is struggling with a problem but working to find a solution. So definitely use that to your advantage. So those are all my tips on how to pass the interview if you're not fluent in English. If you like this video and feel like this can help you in future job interviews, then please subscribe to my page so you can get weekly videos on how to land your dream job. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I share daily interview tips. If you follow me at Husaina Interview Skills, I will leave the link below.